Good afternoon from San Francisco. I am Celine Layog, the Trade Commissioner for the Philippine Trade and Investment Center, Silicon Valley. My office represents the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry, covering Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. The other offices here in the US are based in Washington, D.C., New York, and Los Angeles. Together with the Board of Investments, we started the Make It Happen in the Philippines virtual dialogue series in 2020 at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our purpose is to continue engagement with our stakeholders and serve as a platform to provide updates on the Philippines' actions to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on global businesses. Today's talk and panel is hosted by my office and is focused on the theme Philippines, 50 years of supporting the global semiconductor industry, a discussion with ATEC Philippines, a Philippine top-tier semiconductor firm. I am pleased to note that we have registered participants and attendees not only from the US and the Philippines, but also parts of Asia. Thank you all for carving time from your very busy schedules to join us today. The Philippine semiconductor and electronics industry remains the top contributor to the Philippine economy. The industry is characteristically made up of export-oriented firms, accounting for about 62% of Philippine total exports last year at $43 billion. It all began in the 1970s. I hope it's okay if I give you a bit of a history. It all began in the 1970s when multinationals, mainly from the US and led by Texas Instruments, Intel, and Fairchild, set up their assembly plants in the country. Companies from our neighbors in Asia followed suit. With the establishment of Filipino firms and multinationals covering a competitive balance in the business, the industry's position as a vital and growing high-technology sector has been firmly established. From a business that started out with the simplest type of chip packaging, the industry assembles and tests the most sophisticated electronics products and components available in the global market. From medical devices to automotive, space, and defense, among others. Today, the Philippine electronics industry is currently home to about 500 semiconductor and electronics companies and is a successful hub for semiconductor manufacturing services, or SMS, and electronics manufacturing services, or EMS. We are also an emerging player in IC design with a growing base of competitive IC design companies. Now, the continued growth and stability of the industry are based on key competitive advantages of the Philippines. The dialogue we held last month provided insights on these advantages. If you would like to watch the dialogue, we will be providing the link of the recording in the chat box later. Now, I would like to quickly touch on these advantages today. First is availability and investment towards advanced manufacturing technologies, such as smart manufacturing and the digital twin. Second, as I mentioned earlier, the Philippines cater to sophisticated electronics products for global companies, and this is possible as the industry adopts quality certifications. Third, we have moderate labor costs with high productivity. I would like to cite a study by McKinsey & Company. Average daily wage cost for a manufacturing employee in China is $34.4 a day. In Vietnam, it is $10.6. In the Philippines, it is $7.9. In terms of productivity, average daily output per wage in China is $7.4. For Vietnam, it's 9 cents. And for the Philippines, it's $9. This shows the productivity advantage of the Philippines. Also, based on available comparative data, I think it's 2015, the Philippines has the lowest number of strikes or lockouts. We had 5 during that year, compared to Vietnam with 626 and China with 2,775. And fourth, talent availability. We attribute the Philippines' resilience and success to our people. We have 45 million highly skilled and educated, dedicated, and cost-efficient workforce with very low turnover or attrition rate. Our young and dynamic population not only boosts our domestic consumption and local demand, but also continues to use innovation as an engine for growth. This year, the Philippines placed 51st out of 131 countries in the Global Innovation Index. Fifth, English is widely spoken in the Philippines, which facilitates ease of doing business, especially when you have to troubleshoot issues at the manufacturing floor. It is very important to communicate the instructions clearly. Six is IP integrity. I'm happy to note that the Philippines is not included on the U.S. Trade Representative's Special 301 watch list, which is indicative of the adherence of the Philippines to international treaties such as the Paris Convention, the Berne Convention, Patent Cooperation Treaty, the TRIPS Agreement, and the WIPO. Seventh, the flexibility of the Philippines, full adherence to qualified sources, transparency, and traceability enable us to accommodate evolving supply chain strategies of global companies. Eighth, the Philippines has advanced telecom and datacom infrastructure. We have robust logistics industry. We also have ecozones in different regions, and this provides for frictionless import and export. We also embarked on a massive infrastructure program we call Build, 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 focused on connectivity. So we have a massive investments amounting to about 9 trillion for the whole program. That would be roughly 177 billion US dollars for roads, rails, bridges, airports, and seaports. Ninth, the Philippines has access to key markets through our bilateral and regional free trade agreements with Japan, the European Free Trade Association covering Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, and Liechtenstein, ASEAN and ASEAN FTA partners, including China, Australia and New Zealand, India, South Korea, and Japan. We are also accelerating discussions with India to commence negotiations on a preferential trade agreement. This is particularly important as India is currently not a member of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. The Philippines is also a recipient of the GSP program, representing tariff privileges with countries such as the US, Canada, the EU, the UK, and Russia. This year, we are celebrating 75 years of Philippines and US relations. Last July, we held a business dialogue with guests from the US Department of Commerce and top US and Philippine companies. In her message, Department of Commerce Acting Undersecretary for International Trade, Diane Farrell, shared that both countries have come a long way in 75 years, weathering challenges such as the pandemic and climate change. The dialogue has highlighted technological capabilities in various sectors, which is a strong illustration of partnership and complementary nature that the US and the Philippines afford each other. So for today's dialogue, we would like to share insights on these advantages from the perspective of the semiconductor industry and a Philippine top-tier semiconductor company. Our featured speaker today is Ms. Ana Santana, VP for Sales and Customer Service of ATEC Semiconductor, to be followed by a panel discussion. To facilitate our discussion, may I invite on screen Mr. Graham Payne. For those who have joined us in our previous dialogues on electronics manufacturing topics, you may already be familiar with Graham. Graham is a certified strategic sourcing professional through the Procurement and Supply Institute of Asia. He spent a number of years working in Silicon Valley as well as in high-tech Philippines. He also currently works as a supply chain analyst, bringing together US-based customers and Philippine suppliers and service providers. Graham, you have the screen.
Many thanks, Celine, for the introductions. As you've noted, ATEC is a top Philippine-based semiconductor firm, providing an array of semiconductor manufacturing services. We'll begin our program with a video of ATEC Semiconductor, to be immediately followed by our featured speaker, Ms. Ana Santana. And on that note, I'd like to introduce her. Anna is Vice President of Sales and Customer Service for ATEC Semiconductor. She has 33 years of professional experience in the field of outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, Osat, mostly in the area of quality management, including customer quality. Prior to ATEC, she was Vice President of Quality at the largest Osat firm in the Philippines. Her strength in customer quality paved the way for a career in sales and customer service. She also has 2 years of expat experience under the same professional capacity with a multinational semiconductor firm, enriching her manufacturing and management skills in a cross-cultural environment. Before we begin the video, I'd like to add, please feel free to submit questions at any time during this program by using the Q&A box in the bottom right corner of your screen. So we're ready for the video. Celine? Anna, thanks very much for putting that video together. Greatly appreciated. So now we're ready for your presentation.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon. Before I start with my presentation, please allow me, in behalf of our management, to thank Celine, Gray, Rosalie, Mario, and the rest of the DTI staff for the opportunity extended to ATEC to be part of the Make It Happen in the Philippines program. Our appreciation also to all the participants of the webinar, who we look forward for continuing engagement. I will be sharing more of ATEC as I go through our company profile, packaging portfolio, and value proposition. ATEC has two manufacturing plants. Plant 1 caters to our semiconductor business, while Plant 2 supports our connectivity business. Both plants are located inside the Laguna Industrial Science Park 1 in Cabuyao, Laguna, which is south of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. By distance, we are 44 kilometers or 27 miles from the main international airport. Guided by our core values, our vision is to be an effective and strategic partner offering consistently first-rate and dynamic range of products and services. Our primary mission is to be among the success enablers for our customers. Of equal priority is our absolute commitment to serve as an example of a responsible corporate citizen. At a glance, ATEC is founded in 1996. We are privately held to date and with a strong balance sheet. Our two business divisions, Semiconductor and Connectivity, has a combined plant area of approximately 56,000 square meters. And our production and office area occupies around 54% or 30,000 square meters. We have 1,724 employees, and we are ISO 9001, ISO 14001, and IATF 16949 certified. Shown in the slide is our milestone highlighting the different products that we have qualified for production since we started in 1996. Forward-looking, we are positioned for our expansion with Plant 3 in the same location as Plant 2. Of the two business divisions, I will focus on Semiconductor, where we offer IC assembly, test, or turnkey as our mainstream service for automotive and non-automotive applications. We do offer partial services also, and these are wafer probe, backrind, die sales, plating, reliability and failure analysis services, finished goods management, and drop shipment. In a nutshell, we are flexible and can customize our service depending on the customer's requirements. Moving on to our employees' profile, I would like to put emphasis on the majority population at 68% who are operators or direct labor. They are at least first year in college or university, therefore high literacy with strong communication skills. This qualification, as mentioned by Celine earlier, enables high competency in the production area as far as understanding and implementing product and process requirements, which are essential to our 24/7 operation and in meeting, if not exceeding, our customer quality expectations. Here's our organizational structure for Semiconductor Division. We are led by our chairman, Mr. Renato Tanseco, our CEO, Mr. Vincent Abella, our president and COO, Mr. Danny Acuña, and our CFO, Mr. Antonio Lichauco. You may notice that we have a relatively flat structure, which works quite well being in the service industry, as we are fast in decision-making and overall execution. On financials, we grew 15% in 2020 versus 2019, and this year, we are projecting a 20% growth versus 2020, keeping us on track to an 18% compounded annual growth rate from our base in 2019 to 2023. Time and again, our president reminds us to be grateful of this blessing of strong and profitable business in the middle of the pandemic. For our 2021 revenue projection profile, by market segments, 26% are automotive. By business model, 62% are captive lines. By region, 53% are US sales. On to our packaging portfolio. We have leaded packages, which are SOIC, SOT, TSOT, PDIP, SIP, and TSSOP. We also have leadless packages, which are primarily QFNs. We also offer customized packages, which are either lead frame, ceramic, or PCB based. Also in our portfolio of packages are the good old metal cans and ceramic packages. Among our banner packages are power modules, which are either surface mount devices or Econopack. Another package in our portfolio under captive model is the PLCC SMD used for LED application in automotive. Now, I would like to share 2 slides summarizing our automotive capability and manufacturing profile. We have Class 1K, 10K, and 100K cleanroom facility, which are all ESD controlled areas. As mentioned earlier, we are certified to ISO 9001, IATF 6949, and ISO 14001. We have established automotive quality systems and manufacturing core tools such as FMEA, APQP, PPAP, SPC, and OCAP, among others. All in all, more than 20 years of experience in assembly and test of multi-chip and integrated circuit assembly packages for automotive application. Packages passed automotive standards such as JEDEC, MIL Standard 883, AEC Q100, Q200, Q101, Q006, Grade 0. We have consistently passed VDA 6.3 audits by our direct customers and end customers such as Continental, Bosch, among others. Here is a snapshot of the automotive product applications for the packages that we manufacture. Rear view mirror sensor, temperature sensor, oil level sensor, media-oriented system transport, Hall effect sensor, LEDs, LiDAR or light detection and ranging, tire pressure monitoring sensor, and impact pressure sensor. Our target markets with consideration to our strength and business objectives are captive line model, automotive, medical, and power. Internally, we designate this as CAMP. Shifting to another perspective of our business is our trust to be a responsible corporate citizen through absolute commitment towards corporate social responsibility in the areas of human resource management and human rights, health and safety, environmental sustainability, community engagement, supply chain management, and business ethics. Integral to corporate social responsibility and business continuity is our response to COVID-19, where we went beyond to the requirements of the government health controls. To highlight initiatives unique to ATEC, we have installed air-conditioned vans in the grounds of Plant 2 to house our employees. We have done this to mitigate the dynamic changes in the community quarantine across all areas of the Philippines, implementation, and public transportation issues. We started with 36 20-footer housing vans, and now we still have half of them housing our employees. Most recent initiative is the purchase of vaccines for our employees, as encouraged by the government to accelerate the herd immunity. And I'm happy to share that as of this week, our number is at 87% of employees vaccinated, keeping us on track to achieve our target of 100% by middle of December this year. Now, to share the reason for our existence, our valued customers in no particular order, but with a good mix of tier 1s and startups. Lastly, our semiconductor business value proposition, which is to offer a one-stop shop service for process and packaging development assembly, test, pack, and drop shipment. Our focus is we collaborate, innovate, and customize. And with that, thank you very much. And back to you, Graham.
Anna, special thanks for your insights regarding the Philippine semiconductor industry and on Philippine strengths in talent, culture, and manufacturing know-how that translate to efficiencies and competitive advantage for ATEC. There are some other topics that we'd like to explore, and we hope to do that through the ensuing panel discussion. And therefore, joining Anna and I on the screen are Mr. Edmund Salimo and Ms. Brenda Giling. Okay, Edmund is the Vice President of Engineering for ATEC for development, design, pre-assembly, process, and test. He has 26 years of engineering and management expertise. He is responsible for establishing new package and dry foolproof process controls, cost-effective processes and packing, process simplification, and continuous improvement. Brenda is the sales manager for ATEC. She's responsible for account, project, and sales management. Prior to joining ATEC, Brenda was the regional sales director for a multinational firm. She has a demonstrated history of working in both the semiconductor and the electronics manufacturing services industries for some 25 years. I'll begin the program, the panel discussion, by asking the first question or the first series of questions. I do have a list of prepared questions, but would be pleased to field questions from those of you in the audience. Please type those in using your Q&A box. Thank you. Okay, first question for the panel. How do you differentiate ATEC from other global Osat firms?
Hi, Gray. Let me answer that question.
Okay.
ATEC is a Philippine company. Filipinos are hospitable, caring, and respectful. These are Filipino traits that differentiate ATEC from other global OSAT. Moreover, ATEC has a program called ACE. ACE stands for Awesome Customer Experience. This is a tool to measure, support our customer satisfaction, aside from promoting quality, efficiency, productivity, and safety.
Okay, let me follow that up with the next question. What is the technology roadmap for ATEC going forward?
Hi, Gay. Let me answer that. ATEC is anchored, technology roadmap is anchored on our strategic focus, such as captive line, automotive, medical, and power packages. Our roadmap is categorized into two, such as the process and material development and packaging. For the process, we are working on installing 12-inch wafer capability, flip chip process, strip testing, and silver sinter epoxy for high thermal applications. While for packaging, development is on air cavity plastic QFN. These are for 5G and RF applications. We also have the metal can TO39 with special gas backfill. This is for temperature and image sensors. And we also have open cavity packages for sensing.
Okay. Now, how are your customers and suppliers impacted by the global supply chain disruption? And how does ATEC handle this?
Let me respond to that, Graham.
Okay.
And by saying, true enough, we have customers affected by foundry capacity issue, resulting in the delay of wafer supply. On the other side of the supply chain, we are also witness to raw material suppliers being affected by the pandemic, experiencing low workforce attendance or reduced operating hours, therefore reduced capacity, which equates to delay of raw material supply. Regardless of case, ATEC is able to handle this through transparency of situation and timely communication. It is a situation where long-standing good relationship with customers and with raw material suppliers built on trust and performance that becomes a leverage in finding win-win solutions for every case.
Okay, very good. Now, you noted in your presentation, Anna, that the company is growing. I think you mentioned 20%, and that's pretty impressive during this time when semiconductors are on allocation and there's been a disruption, obviously, in the supply chain. What do you attribute this growth to? I mean, what types of services are you providing, maybe beyond the Osat type services at ATEC?
For this year, we attribute our growth to two key areas. First is growth on existing business, where we continue to support the demand of our customers during the pandemic. At best, when other subcons or other OSATs are not able to support, ATEC was able to support their requirement. And then second, we have a continuing pipeline for new products, enabling us to infuse, growth continuously.
Okay, and as these semiconductor allocations persist, do you see a shift in emphasis on these services long term? And these are the other services that you're providing.
Now, so you mentioned about this shift. It all ties back to what we are experiencing in the supply chain. But as mentioned earlier, with the close communication across the supply chain, we are confident that we can mitigate all ensuing issues.
Okay. All right, I'm going to jump around a little bit. What key metrics does ATEC use to track and measure performance?
Allow me to answer that, Gayam.
Okay.
The metrics that we are using for new product introduction is the first pass qualification hit rate, and of course the time to market. While for production, it is expected, it's the quality, yield, voice of the process, voice of the customers. We use this as a metrics to serve as our leading and lagging indicators for establishing continuous improvement programs.
Okay, all right, very good. How does ATEC handle RFQs, requests for quotation?
Gray, I hope after this event, we will be receiving a lot of RFQ.
I hope so.
Yeah, this will drive more business opportunity for ATEC. How ATEC to provide quote to our customers. We will be needing a banding diagram with a complete build of materials, a package outline drawing, and volume or forecast per month or per year. This information will be sufficient for us to provide more quotation to our customers.
Okay, okay. All right, and what about the sales order entry process? That's one of my favorite questions. So what happens when you receive a customer order or a new customer order from order acceptance to ship? What are the steps through the semiconductor firms such as ATEC?
Okay, so let me take that one, Gray. So as we qualify a package, we freeze the process, the bill of materials as defined during qualification. Therefore, we have a process control instruction that becomes the Bible whenever we receive a sales order. So once the sales order comes in, our pre-assembly group reviews it. And based on the process control instruction, which was defined during qualification, we issue the lot traveler card. And this is the basis of our processes and requirements as we move the lot into production. On the commercial side, of course, we have all this set up as we close the quotation with our customer.
Okay. Now, assuming that you're working with consigned inventory, certainly you are, how do you manage, track, and report customer inventory?
Well, in case of consigned material inventory, this is also being managed just like how we do for our ATEC purchased materials. First off, we assign a traceability number and we do the inventory management in the production, in the material control area, as well as in the production area. And as required by our customers, we provide the consigned material report on a periodic basis.
Okay.
And as required also, if they need to do an inventory audit, we engage with them. And in fact, this pandemic, we've had several where our customers do a virtual inventory of their consigned materials.
Yeah, I've always found consigned inventory to be a challenge to manage, particularly if you have to combine it with your inventory on the same product. And that has always bedeviled us trying to manage that stuff. Okay, in terms of supply chain integration, you notice that I'm asking supply chain type questions now. How is your supply chain integrated from customer to supplier in terms of managing and sharing information?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. How is your supply chain integrated from customer to supplier? Okay, so we're talking about the extended supply chain where you've got the customer on one end of the supply chain and you're in the middle, and then you've got your suppliers on the back end of the supply chain. How do you manage that information or sharing of information along the extended supply chain?
Okay, so it all starts with a forecast that we receive from our customers on a periodic basis, monthly at minimum, and likewise we do receive a what you call a long range plan or forecast, and these are the numbers that we take back to our supply chain for the material preparation. But upfront, of course, we start with the qualification and identification of raw material supplier. In terms of requirements, it is also during the development stage when we do the characterization and qualification where the integration of requirements are being shared with the supply chain. And as we bring in materials, when we are in production, we do have our incoming quality control to confirm that these requirements are met. And then in the production, to make sure that this meets the production requirements. And as we ship it, our customers and even our end customers do the final validation. So that is how the supply chain from raw materials up to our customers are integrated.
Okay.
To add on there, Gray, as mentioned by Ms. Anna earlier,
Yes.
it is part on the qualification stage wherein we do a selection qualification of materials as agreed with the customer. We do a look-ahead prototype reliability testing. Once the material is identified and frozen or freeze, we provide a unique identification number that will be a recipe for that particular device during processing in mass production. That will be a standard reference during mass production. So totally in control. All the technical data sheets are being shared to the customers in agreement to the qualification and reliability performance.
Okay, thank you, Edmund. Now, Anna, you mentioned that your factory is about 25 or 26 miles south of Manila. And you're located, of course, in a PESA zone, a free trade zone there. And so how are shipments, incoming, inbound shipments coordinated through PESA and then outgoing shipments leaving the PESA zone and going to Manila, let's say to the Port of Manila or to the airport? Is there a method that you use to organize those shipments? For instance, the inbound shipments happen at a certain time, maybe at night. Shipments that are leaving your factory and going to the Port of Manila happen during the day. How is that organized?
So basically, it's all being managed by our corporate services department, to be specific. Our shipping manages that business process where they take all the requirements to PESA, both inbound and outbound. And as far as all the documentations, these are prepared upfront with all the coordinations needed to our customers or in the supply chain, to be general, meaning to our customers and also to our raw material suppliers, including equipment suppliers. So these are all predefined processes that are being adhered to consistently. Otherwise, it will be held and there's another process that we have to go through.
We also work with our customers. There's an agreement on the frequency of shipment, consolidation, those kind of things. It's a pre-arranged, it's one-time set up, and goes to the PESA system that we have.
Do you see any issues with shipments coming in through customs at the Port of Manila or at the airport?
Well, recently there has been port congestion, and we believe that this is partly because of the pandemic situation that we're in. But otherwise, everything is we're able to work out everything, including expedites. So it's the key really is the close coordination across the supply chain, including PESA, of course.
Yeah. Of course, you have some very fine logistics firms in the Philippines who help you manage those shipments through customs. They're very good at that. I know that.
That's correct.
Yes.
And I see that we have a question. And I'll read it to you. Anna mentioned working with startups. Could ATEC describe how a startup can engage ATEC, considering that they may have smaller requirements or a new technology that needs strong IP protection?
Okay. First off, IP is something that we don't compromise. It's a given regardless of customer, be it tier 1 or startup. That's non-negotiable for ATEC. It's given. Now, on to supporting a startup. Similar to, well, as mentioned by Brenda, with part of the RFQ process is to take in their requirements and review it. There's more work with startups as far as development. So Mr. Edmond here and his team are the ones really deeply involved working with our customers in the development of the package, of the process, and making sure that this meets all the requirements of our customers.
And yeah, Gray, just to add up, we are currently involved with startups customers, since their packages are really technology inclined, and there is a big business opportunity that we can see working in partnership with a startup company.
In addition to that, Gray, we have a NDA with our customers at the start of the project. At the same time, as maybe you heard about the captive line that Ms. Anna mentioned, it is putting a customer line inside ATEC as if he has its own factory inside ATEC. So the IP, everything is really controlled in that area. We have a dedicated production personnel, engineers up to the organization, using specific specs identified or agreed upon with the customers. So those kind of controls we do have. We've been practicing that since 2000, way back 2000 for several customers that we have inside our captive line area.
Okay. What marketing strategy do you have going forward to bring in more customers beyond webinars that we're doing today and other means? What kinds of marketing strategies are you discussing or considering going forward?
Let me reply to that, Gray. Part of that is we are now in a pace to launch our latest or the new phase of ATEC website. And that's one part of a marketing that we are currently doing right now. In this new normal that we have, face-to-face is still a challenge. I believe this is one of the tools to reach to our customers. And on top of that, we are also trying to work with our partners to reach possible customers as part of our marketing.
Okay, all right, very good.
Gray, I'd like to add that we have sales representatives across different regions that help us in the promotion. So more so during this pandemic, we're able to raise our efforts, though virtually or mostly via Zoom, but really it's the ease of doing business, the communication skills, what we're doing right now, that's a new platform that we have raised in terms of reaching out with a wider range of audience and potential customers.
Yeah, I noticed you have an impressive list of customers, big customers. In what regions do you have a sales presence right now?
We have sales representatives in the US, in Taiwan, in Israel, and also we have others supporting us in Singapore and also in Korea and Europe.
Oh, very good, very good. Truly a global operation.
Yes.
So, all right, I think I've exhausted my list of questions, and I'd like to thank the panelists for a lively discussion. And
Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
I think we still have 2 additional questions from the Q&A box.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Oh, there they are. Yeah. Oh, great. I've been looking for some questions. Okay, I believe, all right, here's the first question that Celine's referring to. I believe you have clean rooms. If so, are they certified by a third-party testing firm through an international reference? Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct, Gray. We have clean rooms, class 1K, 110K, and 100K. Although they are not certified by a third-party testing firm through an international reference, they are compliant to all of these standards.
Okay. And here's a second question. Could ATEC expound on how they incorporate environmental management strategies in their operation? That's a great question.
Environmental management strategies are integral into our operation from the start of the process up to shipment. So all of our business processes, we have a set of environmental controls that are compliant to ISO 14001, and this is being managed by a team, not just a set of individuals, not just the ESH, which is under our facilities, but each area has an ESH champion that sees to it that we are compliant to all the environmental management controls and programs.
Okay, and I think Celine would like to add a comment about that question. Celine? You're on mute. There we go.
Yes, so the question was about the environmental standards.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You know, from the government perspective, yes, this is one of the priorities of the government in terms of environmental sustainability, particularly on the part of the Department of Trade and Industry. As you know, we have been experiencing, I think as given our geographic location, I think everyone knows that we are experiencing impact of climate change, and that we have been, working closely with different technology startups to be able to mitigate this in various fronts. So this is something that we are happy to note that ATEC has started to is integrating this in your business as well. So, and this is something that we expect and we see from our manufacturing companies. Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, thank you very much, Celine. And we have another question. As required by ISO and our local authority like DOE, do you have an energy management system in place?
Yes, we have a strong program aligned to energy management. It's a must. So we are all familiar at the energy cost here in the Philippines. So we have strong programs in place led by our facilities team, and with strong support from our management. And this doesn't only entail the day-to-day operation, but how to move forward with reduced energy and sustainability in general.
All right, and Celine, would you like to add to that? Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute.
I saw, okay.
As you know, the Philippines also recently put into law, create, wherein you have incentives for foreign companies. Any company would like to set up their facility in the Philippines, and recognizing the cost of power and how important it is for manufacturing, there is a provision there that addresses the cost of power. And the government, through the FIRB and also with the Board of Investment, is working closely with our existing and prospective investors to be able to effectively manage the cost of power and to ensure seamless operation of their business here in the Philippines. It can entail many various forms, not only in terms of incentives, but also in terms of finding the right partnerships, either with the Department of Energy or any private sector would be able to accommodate and address the particular need of that company. So thank you for letting me add on to that, Graham.
Yeah, they're very good. That's very good information. So, all right, and okay, I think that covers all of our questions, and I'd like to thank you for the discussion, the panelists and Celine as well. We'll be sharing with the attendees the ATEC's PowerPoint presentations that Anna presented, as well as the answers to the questions that we posed during the panel discussion, and we'll send them to you via the email you used to register with us. You can also note down these contact details so you can get in touch with directly with ATEC, the BOI and the DTI representatives here in the US. And the BOI, the Board of Investments, that's a Philippine organization. We hope we've provided you with some good information today and answers that you may be looking for. And before our Zoom meeting ends, the panelists are requested to stay for a few minutes for picture taking.